Hello and welcome to episode 54 of the True to Life podcast. Back in my studio, in my room, and this is going to be a very exciting episode for me because it's feeling full circle. My guest here, Caitlyn Smith, at Academy of Art University right now. We're going to dive into that a little bit later, but we met at Holy Names University, remembering all the way back to when this podcast started. She was on episode 6, and that was actually one of the most viewed and listened to episodes, in large part due to her pushing it out and just being such a big supporter always of the show. So, Caitlyn, first, gratitude. I will confidently put you as my number one supporter, so yes. I appreciate you, and I'm happy to have you here for this episode. So let's get started. Since we last spoke, you've been in Academy of Art this past year. How's that been for you, professionally, personally? Give us the update.
It's been really good. I definitely, when I left Holy Names, I was extremely sad. That was my first job out of college, and my first real set of you guys were my athletes. I wasn't just helping someone out and those were my athletes. You guys were my athletes, and it definitely a piece of my heart, you could tell, got left at Holy Names.
I feel that.
And yeah, it's that I was definitely nervous to go to art and be okay, I'm gonna meet all these new kids, and I say kids, you guys are grown college grown college adults, but to me, you guys are always my kids, and I was nervous about it, and I kind of very eased myself in. I also got the opportunity to start early before the end of the school year, so I got to meet a lot of people as they were leaving. And then when I actually officially started in the 23-24 season, we actually had a lot of new athletes that year. A lot of new athletes, a lot of new staff members. I also got to go to art with a lot of Holy Name staff members. And so that was kind of a really big help. And like I said, so Danny was there, who was my boss at Holy Names. She was my head at art, and so we got to go together. The volleyball coach, the softball coach, our SID from Holy Names, we were all there together, and that was honestly the biggest help, I think, because it was that sense of community that we got to take from Holy Names and bring it to art. And I think it really helped art too. It changed a lot of the culture because all of us were so close and checking in on each other and popping in and talking to each other, and that spread to other people. And I think other people were okay, we can all do this too, and let's all be fun and be friends and it work well together. And so that was really nice. And like I said, I got to have a whole new group of athletes, and definitely made me realize that there's always going to be another group of athletes coming in and new connections to be had. And but the ones that are from the past are always going to be there, and that's exactly like this. I still talk to you all the time. We still stay connected. I still stay connected with a bunch of other people. It's the people who want to be in your life are going to be in your life, and I am always going to be able to be in your guys' lives as long as you guys want me there. And so it's always good.
No, I think one of your strengths is your connection with athletes. It's something really special, connecting off the field, off the court. I think it strengthens the connection off the court to the production on in the actual sport, because you get to know an athlete outside of the sport, and there's so much stress and pressure in the sports that we're all just people too. And I've talked about this on the pod quite a bit, is we're people outside of our sport, and I feel you make that connection with athletes. It's really special.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the fact that you guys are here and you're doing the things that you guys are doing is because you guys are people. That's your drive. It got you to where you want to be, and you have to celebrate that, and also let yourself be released from that for a little bit sometimes too, and have a good time and act like kids maybe. And maybe that's why I call you guys kids, because it's you guys need to be every once in a while. So
absolutely. So talk to me, what do you think was the highlight of this past season or past year?
That's hard. I feel a lot of people have asked that. Everyone's always oh, what's your favorite moment? And I think something I realized in the last year, at least for sure, my favorite times are when everyone gets to just have fun, and when we get to goof around, and I think one day, what were we doing? we were in the training room and nobody was getting treatment. Nobody was doing rehab. We were all just in there after practice one day and just goofing and like roasting each other, but like being funny and like it's just like time to like unwind and like relax and like yeah, you're sitting there and I get picked on, whatever, it's fine. It's not like it's like you guys are actually going low blows or anything. Like, it's just funny and you know, I get to fire back every once in a while and it's like those are like the memories I love because we're just in there having fun. Or like when we're on the road and like we're stuck in Hilo due to a storm. And our flight had gotten delayed like an hour and a half and we had all already been up and like ready to leave the hotel. And of course, you know, the hotel's like around the corner from the airport, so you don't leave very early. And so we were hanging out in the lobby because all of us had our stuff downstairs and they were like, Katie, where's Uno? And I was like, oh, okay, let's play. And there was like 10 of us at the big long table in the hotel playing Uno and everyone's just like going off on each other and they're like, oh, take that. And it's like a ruthless game of Uno, but it was so fun that it's like those are the memories I love because it's like you guys get to just be people. And I think that's like the biggest thing is like you're always gonna have your sport, but you have to recognize that you are a person. You need to find yourself and have a good time as yourself and not have the pressures of everything on you.
Yeah. So when we step away from like the sports, like those are the memories that we really remember. And I think that's why with like one of my goals as stepping in as the PSAC president this next year as a senior, it's to strengthen those connections between like sport programs, like outside of the sports though, like creating memories like that, like playing Uno, playing card games. Like, you know, I'm hearing that like we could just do like a game night or a game day, like with all the sports can come in, like bring board games and everyone can just play and connect. Hearing you describe that right now, I think that's an event that I want to do now for next year.
So I helped out with SAC this year at art, first time ever, and it was kind of amazing.
You were at the SAC retreat.
The SAC retreat, yeah, we got to see each other there. And actually, our SAC did do that. We did a game night, and it was so fun. So one of the buildings at art is a cafe, and they had like a bunch of board games and stuff. So they like literally just grabbed the games from there, and we met up we have like a giant theater that we have access to, and so we met up in there. Literally there was no food, no drinks, like it was straight up like come if you want to come. And they had Twister, they had Sorry, they had Life, they had Monopoly, they had just regular card games, they had Uno, like all these games, and so many people showed up. We amazing. We were all like, no one's gonna show up, there's no food. And I was like, okay, well, let's just go and see. Literally, I think we had almost our entire athletic department was there.
That's going to be the
goal.
And
it was so fun. And I think, honestly, any student athlete who's at a college or anything should do that because even though it's like seems so innocent and like maybe some might be like, oh my God, that's boring. No, it was so fun because you just get to sit there and play games and like you're intermingling with a bunch of different other sports and you're getting to know other people that are in your department that maybe you don't see. Or, you know, if you guys are at the same, like you practice at the same time, you have games during the same season, you're not going to get to support each other, but okay, you can still make this connection here and have this sense of community and know that they have your back and someone to say hi to in the hallway and stuff like that. Or if you have classes together, but maybe you didn't talk, now you're finding those connections. It's just nice to bring that community together and keep growing it.
Like lighting people up. I just mentioned to you earlier, I was in Arizona last week, and one of the parts of like the PGC like course curriculum is like lighting people up. They call it the Steph Curry effect. Steph Curry is my favorite player. Obviously, sitting with the Warriors fan here, so you understand that. But like lighting people up, like when we walk by people, it's really easy just to walk by head down or on our phone, like in our own world. But you know, keeping the head up, giving a smile, like. The most likely they're going to smile back at you. And like those little small connections, I feel like that's what starts to build like culture within a community. And I think that's like my goal with Dominican next year. And what you're describing with what happened at art is I think it probably made a big difference.
It really did. And I think my first year there was definitely a lot of separation between the sports, mainly because we don't have a traditional campus, right? Like, yes, we have one central location that all athletics meets at, and that's where they catch the shuttle to practice and stuff, or sometimes to class, and that's where the training room is, and that's where a lot of our staff offices are. But like a lot of them either don't live in the dorms, or they do live in the dorms, and there's a bunch of different dorms that they all live in. And so it's like there is a lot of separation that is kind of almost forced upon them because there's no central location, right? So doing those events really brought a lot of people together. It made like you weren't at the, you know, Pac West championship game for basketball, but almost our entire department who was able to be there was at that game.
The gym was jumping.
Yeah, and it was half art you. Like, and we came out to represent, and like, I don't think, even it being such a big game, I don't think that would have happened the year before. Because as much as like there were people who came to support, like before, it was tenfold this year, I think, because of what SAC did. And that really helped.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that too. I remember seeing the clips on Instagram and I was like, I didn't realize Conlon Center could get this lit.
it was actually insane. Like, I think my heart was beating out of my chest. Like, I'm normally a coffee during the day, and then I have like a Celsius during game time. I didn't need the Celsius because
Just
I was like,
adrenaline.
It was just like I couldn't feel my fingers. Like, I was so nervous. And it was a really good game. It was a hard game. We did end up losing, but like, it was such a good like environment to be in, and to see that was really fun. And like, to see that coming from what it was the year before, and I don't know how it was before that, and like even coming from Holy Names, where like, yeah, we had games when like
the very last game though, in Tobin,
that
one was lit.
No, that was huge. But like before that, when it's like there's like 10 people in the stands, you're like, come on. And then coming to that and having that sense of community there, it was like, it was insane.
Yeah, I think it was unfortunate that Dominican wasn't able to participate in the tournament, being that it was at our home gym. But what it did show us was that if we, as we turn things around, like we can have a very special environment there. And I think seeing the championships at our own home gym showed us like how special that environment can really be. So it gave us something to strive for. Yeah. And I guess we can thank Art and Point Loma for showing us what's really possible. And we're gonna strive to get to that point, because I think that's anyone's goal when they start a season is to, have something to play for at the end.
Exactly. And I think it was really cool because our women's team, they were like just out of it. And so a lot of them got to see it. And when they came to the games, and they're like, no, we want this. Like, we want this for us next year. And, I mean, unfortunate about what's, the future has to hold for us. But, to have that, it really does, like you said, it makes you want it yourself to see it, and like just to have a piece of that, and like know that that's possible, and like you can get yourself there for sure.
100%. As you kind of alluded to there a little bit, it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Yes.
When we spoke last time on the podcast, of course, we were talking about how Holy Names was shutting down, and now we're seeing the same thing happen at Sonoma State, and now also at Art, which is really devastating. I know what it's like as an athlete going through that at Holy Names, so I can empathize with the athletes having to find a new home. Some athletes won't get picked up. That's the sad reality. Others will be able to transfer and continue going. But with you, how are you approaching that transition? Talking about the emotions, thoughts, like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so we're going through it again.
Deep breath.
It is definitely different this time. Last time, Holy Names itself was closing. This time, just the athletic department is getting shut down. So it is different. I also found out at a very different time of the year. So when we found out for Holy Names, we found out back in November?
It was right after we beat Chico.
Yes.
We were at the high point.
Right.
We're like, oh, the season's going to be great. And then team meeting the next day, air was just sucked out of the room.
Exactly. That, and that was devastating. And going through that the first time, I was like, oh my God, I never want to feel this again. And then, about very first week of April, we get an email, and it was like, hey, we have a mandatory staff meeting, and this is not our normal staff meeting day. Mandatory staff meeting with a mandatory student athlete meeting to follow. And my heart sank. Yeah. Like, I instantly knew what was going on. And it really sucked because like there was no, I mean, maybe there was some warning signs that we just didn't see coming into it. But like, especially with us being on such a high from, you know, the championship game, even though, yes, we lost, but we made it to the championship. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like we had goals and, you know, teams were already getting set up. We had just had 3 or 4, you know, student recruits like coming in from different sports. And, you know, the program everyone was on the road to like being greater than we were. And, to kind of get that news was just heartbreaking, and to find out so late in the year, that definitely was big, because I didn't realize when we found out for Holy Names, like I had months to try to find a job. Yeah. We had months to try to find.
We were talking about it like for the rest of the year, like, oh, exactly. What's going on?
It's like, exactly. You just have time to think and choose. And, also like you guys as athletes had so much time to build a highlight reel, get your stuff out there, have coaches watch you. You guys, I mean, you weren't playing, but like other athletes had a whole season to show what they could bring to another team, right? We found out April. So all fall sports done. They might have been in maybe 1 or 2 spring games, but they were pretty much done. Winter done. Spring was starting to finish up. Like I think softball and tennis only had 1 or 2 more weeks after that. Track was only had maybe 2 more weeks before conference. Like sports were wrapping up, and like the other hard part is that sports that, like, say you're a soccer player, rosters are full by that time, in April. And so that made me really realize like the, you know, ebbs and flows of college athletics, of like when hiring happens and when job openings happen. And, you know, that's just on my side. Whereas like you guys, like as athletes, like if a roster's closed, like you're kind of just stuck. Like there's nothing else you can really do about it. You can't even be like, hey, let me try to walk on, because there's just no space.
They're capped. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's like, that was probably the hardest thing to hear about, of athletes being like, well, all these schools are saying they would have looked at me, but they can't because their roster's full. And so that's been hard. And I think when we left Holy Names, there was so many athletes who found places. I mean, a lot of them went to Dominican, right? And so, that there was that. And I feel like also the amount of schools that reached out to Holy Names to be like, your guys' school's going under, we'll take your students like for this. And there was like deals that were made and stuff like that. But at art, because it's not the school closing, it's just an athletic department, it's very different. And so this time around was definitely a lot harder, a lot more stressful for me too, just because I think my mind instantly went to like, I need to find a job by May. And I like was panicking for sure.
Scramble mode.
Yeah. I think I put out like in the first week, I put out like 7 applications to like, I don't even know what jobs. I think I was just like, I'm just going to apply everywhere. And then like, I heard nothing. And I was like, oh my God.
You hear the pin drop?
No, I was like, oh my God, no one wants me. Like, what am I going to do?
Oh,
like,
Katie, that's not it.
And so, you know, and it was just different, because when I was at Holy Names, like people had time to like reach out to me because they had openings and I wasn't looking for a job right away. Whereas like this time I'm like, there's no openings and I need a job right now. And that's what my mind was telling me. And I kept like forcing that timeline on myself. And I had to like, I think after maybe mid-April, I finally was like, why am I putting a timeline on myself? I know that jobs are going to open in the summer. Like, I know I can make it through the summer. I'll figure stuff out. I'll make it happen. Like, that's just the type of person I am. I'm going to make it happen. So I need to calm down and just breathe for a second, because if I sit here and I panic and I panic and I panic, I'm going to end up picking a job I don't love. And that's what I was worried about too. It's like, I have to pick the job that's right for me, that's right for the career I want to have, right for the goals that I want to achieve. And if I sit here and I panic about it, I'm going to force myself into something that I don't want. And it's not going to be the right fit for me. And I have to remember that everything happens for a reason, and you are where you're meant to be. Because my journey up until this point, I have met so many amazing people that I know that if I was not on this path, I wouldn't have met. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself.
So before I pivot and put some universities on blast, because I have some things I want to speak on, I want to put a highlight out there first. On the first episode, you mentioned like there's so many things you can do with athletic training, and you mentioned like the One Direction travels with an athletic trainer. So I think there's always going to be work in this field, which I think is special, and I think even more and more like people are looking for how to take care of their bodies. They're looking for advice. Like take like just now for example, like you were helping give Robert, the person, my host family, advice on his Achilles. Like people just need advice on like their health, taking care of their bodies. So it's like there's always going to be work there available, and I think that's why it's such a great field. And when you said like that's what you wanted to do and how you vote you're a unicorn, how that's what you know that's what you've like always wanted to do. It's athletic training needs you, because like they need people like you that are going to, you know, make relationships with athletes and make it, you know, about more than just the sport. So it's so valuable, and I think athletic training needs you just as much as you need athletic training.
Thank you.
Okay, so true to life, the whole thing about this podcast is I want to keep it real, keep it honest, and I'll let you speak on it after, but I have a few thoughts. I think it's unacceptable that these universities are canceling their athletic programs or canceling these, like pulling fund, whatever it is, without giving adequate you know, time for people to make those adjustments. Like you're describing like Academy of Art telling you guys in April, Holy Names, like they told us like in the middle of our season, but we still had recruits coming in. We like coaches were still recruiting, looking to bring like more athletes into a sinking ship. Like we're not dumb. Like we know behind closed doors, like they're having these conversations a year ago, 2 years ago. Like it's unacceptable to be messing with athletes' lives, all of the staff's lives too. Like it's not okay. And for me as an athlete, like it's our futures that are now like in jeopardy. Like we're investing our time, our money, our resources. Like I'm paying tuition at Holy Names for a sinking ship. People are doing that at Academy of Art, Sonoma. It's like, this is not okay. Like this can't keep happening. So if universities are having financial troubles, like I think they have to be more transparent. Like it's simply, it's unacceptable. It's not okay. And there should be some kind of ramification or backlash, because they're messing with not only athletes' lives, journeys, financial situations, but also staff and their careers. So I had to air that grievance out. If you have anything you want to touch on, feel free. But I know you're also in a profession, so I want to be respectful of that.
No, I think I understand what you're saying. I definitely think that the timely manner is a big effect. I think it's also hard because I do see it from like the business and like morale standpoint as well. It's like, so say we had found out earlier, and it was a possibility, right? Like say it was like, hey, we don't know if we're going to make it through the year. We don't know if we're going to have it next year. What happens to people? They check out.
Yeah, they don't want to scare people.
Exactly. And so I see that, and I see the, how a lot of athletes possibly would have been like, oh, well, I'm on to the next thing then. I'm moving on. I'm going to do what I need to do to get to somewhere else. Right. And then you lose all that culture. And I think that there's something to be said about having that culture throughout the end of the program than losing it. And like, yes, maybe there's people that are going to be like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to stick it to them and I'm going to have the greatest season ever. But then if half the team is on that page, but then the other half of the team is on, well, I'm going to get my stats up so I can go be at a better place and get a better offer here, the scale stands still. And so it's like, there's not much you can do about it in that sense. Yes, do I wish that I learned about it sooner so that, people had more opportunities? Yes. But I think at this point, something I've also just like had to let go of is like, you can't control things that are out of your control. And like, yes, this sucks. and we have to acknowledge that it sucks. I feel like I've said that to so many people, that we just have to acknowledge that this sucks, but then we have to keep moving and know that, like I said, you are where you're meant to be, and we were all meant to be at this point with each other during this time, and we're all going to see each other succeed after this.
Okay, I think I like Katie's more measured approach. I think I came out with the stick. She brought the carrot. Bring us back in.
But I get the anger. I get the anger of it, because it is hard, and it's like the state of college athletics right now is so unstable. Like that was something I thought about looking at jobs, because I was like, I need stability.
Yeah.
I've now been at 2 schools who this has happened to. I love college athletics. College athletics is my whole world right now. But is that really viable for me in the long run? I don't know, because of how unstable it is. But I do love it, so I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer. But, like, it is hard to look at it that way, too.
I think we have to hope that these universities are doing the best that they can.
Exactly.
Number one, they're giving opportunities to student athletes to proceed in their sport and academics. So it's like, I'm very grateful. I do want to just say that I am super grateful for the time I spent Holy Names. Like, everything happens for a reason, like you said earlier, and I wouldn't be here without all of that. I think just some of like the frustration that I'm channeling is like hearing from like other student athletes, like they're just getting like kind of ripped off in a way. Like, you know, one of my new teammates, Nick, he's coming from Sonoma, and Nick, he's just like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do. It's like Sonoma, like they cut our athletics. So, I mean, we're bringing him, we're happy to have him on board at the Dominican, but it's like, it's sad when some student athletes aren't going to be able to find a new home.
Exactly.
So like, that's for me, like where the frustration is. It's like, if there's any way, just, hopefully we can hope that they're doing the best that they can. And hopefully there's those support systems in place, but everything you said, I think was good. I'm happy that I could bring the fire. You can bring the water. We can be the yin yang here. I think that's good. I think our listeners needed that. So I think I needed you. What you said too, it kind of helped me a little bit. So I appreciate that.
Okay, good.
All right, I want to transition to like the mental health side. We've talked about that quite a bit. What are things you've seen over this past year, even with the new news that you've received, balancing like athlete mental like wellness, like any like new suggestions, new tips? What have you found to work in terms of staying like level-headed in this crazy world?
Honestly, I think the thing that's probably helped the most for me, at least, and like with my athletes, has been like me staying as consistent as possible. Making sure that they know that I'm a stable foundation for them to come to when they need it. And kind of making sure that I have the ability to give them the resources that they need to help them be better and help them, you know, find that safe space within themselves. But also, just like I said, if I can't practice what I'm preaching, then like, what's the point? And so me recognizing like, you cannot control what you cannot control. Like, it's simple as that. Like, control what you can, take everything in stride, and know that it's going to be okay. Because like, it makes me think of like when I was in school, I'd have, you know, you always have like papers and stuff you have to get done.
Of course.
I'm the world's best procrastinator. And I'd like to think that that's actually a really good life skill to be a procrastinator. I'm going to put a positive reframe on it, because as much as, yes, I could have written a little bit here, written a little bit more there, and not done it all the day before, 100%. Would I have probably been less stressed out? 1000%. But do I now know that I can get stuff done under the wire because I'm going to get it done and I'm going to make sure everything is met by deadline? Yes, I do. And yes, it's probably a scary thing to do and scary way to live, but I know it's going to get done. And so when you look at like, you know, the mental health side of that, of like, okay, well, only control what you can control, get done what you can get done, and everything's going to be fine. And yes, that might be a naive way to think about it, but like, if you just sit there and dwell in the what if, like you're gonna fall into a rabbit hole and not be able to get back out. Like you can sit there and say what if a little bit. And I like to say, like, you sit in the puddle of it a little bit, but get out. Like get up, dust yourself off, get out and keep it moving, because life is just going to pass you by if you just sit and wallow in it. And you have to get up and get out. And like me being that hand to pull you out of it, I'll do it every time. I even say all the time, sometimes, like, I've had athletes who have come in and they're just like, I can't take it here anymore. I'm like, okay, let's sit in the puddle together. I'll get in with you. Let's sit here but hey, let's get up after. You sit here and wallow in it, but let's get up after and let's move on. And like, we need to find what's going to make you be okay again and keep going from there.
I do think this is one of your superpowers, Katie, is like sitting in that puddle, as you put it. I like that way of viewing it. But at the end of the day, we still got to get out. We can't live the rest of our life in the puddle. Like, we got to get moving still. And I've been transparent. Like when we were at Holy Names, like I had like my biggest like mental health, whatever you want to call it, struggles there. And like you were someone that was really like there for me in those times. And those skills that like we worked on together of like just giving yourself grace, like it's okay to rest, like pull yourself back, like just acknowledge like the situation. Like those are skills that I've kept with me from the rest of time. And I'm happy to say, like, over the last 2 years at Dominican, I haven't missed a single workout practice, anything like that. And, you know, at Holy Names, like I had to sit out of a few practices just because like, I don't know, I wasn't functioning. Something wasn't clicking right. I don't know what it was. But since then, like I haven't missed anything in my 2 years at Dominican, and I'm looking forward to going for a third, of not missing anything. Yeah. And it's because of those skills, is like acknowledge the puddle. It's okay to sit in that for a second. Like it's the reality of the situation, but getting up and getting out, moving forward after.
And it's like, you know what it is? It's like, it's finding those coping mechanisms. Like we talked about that last time. It's like Bluey. I love Bluey.
Love a good Bluey.
Love a good Bluey. You know, like there's an episode of Bluey when, you know, their mom is like, hey, go ahead and cry a little bit, but then dust yourself off and get up. And that's legit how I live my life. Go ahead and have a cry. Cry it out. Who cares? Let the tears fall. But like get up and like let's keep going, because like life is happening. We need to keep going.
You know, my nephew, he's like one or 2 years old, and he was watching some Bluey, and like I came downstairs and I'm like, what, you guys are watching Bluey? And my mom was like, what? How do you know about Bluey? Like she was like so confused, and I was explaining to her why. But sometimes you just need something super light and like almost like over the top, like light. But there's like some real messages like packed into a show like that. It's kind of layered into like your subconscious almost. And it's, if you ever need something super, super light and mellow, Bluey, check it out. Yeah. Okay. So looking ahead, you know, we got a nice summer ahead of us. And then what do you have on the docket for the next chapter for you? Whatever you're comfortable sharing.
You know, so the summer is going to be very light for me. First time in a while for me, actually. I think honestly, since I graduated high school, I've worked full time every summer since high school, like 40 hours a week. I probably overworked myself a little bit. And so I'm actually going to be off for majority of the summer. I picked up a few camps. I'll be working a few camps at Stanford this summer. Oh, nice. So that'll be fun. Just a nice little change of pace. But
those basketball camps or what sport?
1 basketball, 2 track.
Nice.
So it'll be a little bit different. Get a little sun for me too, which is nice. Hopefully I don't burn, because that's usually what happens. But you know, being an indoor AT and working an outdoor sport, but you know, keeping it very light this summer, and then you know, land somewhere I really need to be in the fall. And you know, I know everything's gonna happen for, you know, the right reasons, and I'll be good where I'm at.
I'm excited to see where you land. I'm excited to connect with you wherever you go. No matter where it is, they're gonna be lucky to have you.
Thank you.
So I want to talk some reflections and some advice looking ahead. So for student athletes out there that are facing like a sudden change or loss, you've been around it quite a bit. What is your advice to those student athletes?
I think, like I said, you know, you can sit there and acknowledge that it sucks. Acknowledge that, you've been handed the short end of the stick, but use the stick to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And, everything happens for a reason. And really holding on to that. And I know a lot of people are like, it's such a cliche, but like, you do have to hold on to it, because that's what's going to get you to keep pushing through. And know that, like, just because it feels really bad now, it doesn't mean it's always going to feel bad. And like, yes, you can kind of pile it on and have other bad things happen, but like, it's going to turn up eventually. Statistics say it's going to turn up eventually, and that's okay. But embrace the change, even though it's very scary. I used to hate change. But you got to embrace it and know that good things are coming your way.
So that was a message for student athletes. Now for like administrators, staff, how can like staff better support student athletes? Coming from someone that I think that's one of your strong suits and strengths, like what's your advice to like faculty on how they can show up for athletes better?
I think something that like I feel like I've done, and a lot of people at ART have done, that we've all been there to support the student athletes. Like admin all the way down has been there to support the student athletes through this whole process. Having the biggest open door policy recently, like using every route that like and every connection you have as a staff member to try to help your student athletes. Like that's what we've all been doing. It's like, hey, I know a coach here and they know a coach here, so I'm going to contact them for you. And even though you're not my student athlete, like I'm still going to reach out and say, hey, is this, a possibility? Like I'm an athletic trainer, and I know, all of us athletic trainers in the Pac West are very, very close, especially with basketball, because we all work together so closely. And so I straight up was like, hey, like I think there might be some spots open at like another school in the Pac West. Like let me call my athletic trainer and see if they know about anything at least, or if I can get a number for the student athlete to call the coach and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know anything about recruiting or anything like that, but I'm going to use the people I have to help the other people I know. And like, I think that's what all of the staff at ART has been doing throughout this whole process. And like being as open and using all your connections that you have to try to get you a job, but also to get them a spot is the biggest help.
I think athletic training is one of the most like selfless jobs that you can do, because I mean, you've like already massaged like 15 calves in a day, and then someone walks in, oh, I need a stretch, I need this, I need that. And like I've seen it firsthand, like so our trainers at Dominican are exhausted. And I also do want to shout them out. Logan, Micah, Steve, they're an amazing team over at Dominican. Like the way that they show up for athletes is phenomenal. Like conversations, I remember on the road, Micah was doing some recovery for me, and we were just talking back and forth. Like those little conversations like in between are like so special. And all the athletic trainers at Dominican, they told me after the banquet, make like leverage us as much as you can. Like if you need help from us, anything we can do to help, like let us know. And I think that just says something about like the athletic trainers like as a whole, of like, you guys are really here just to like support, help, and empower like the student athlete like population at the university. It's like we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you guys. Like it's so important. Like I have so much respect for you guys.
No, I would never think so. Like when I took these jobs, like I would never think anyone would ask me for a letter of recommendation that's like a student athlete. Like maybe if we had like, when we had interns at Holy Names, like they asked me, yeah, sure, that makes sense because I'm working directly with them. But then like I had a few athletes ask me like, hey, I'm applying for this internship. Can you write me a letter of recommendation? And I'm like, I mean, of course I will, but like me, like why me? And they're like, well, you know me the best. Like, can you, I was like, okay, well here, let me keep this to a page, because I'll probably write more than a page. But like me being able to do that, like I would never have thought that before, but I absolutely love being able to like help you be a person, and help you find these dreams outside of sports that you might have, and pursue those, because that's life and it's fun, and why not?
Before we move into the rapid fire segment, Could you have any shout outs, any little closing thoughts, anything like that? Feel free to blast the shout outs out. This is going up.
I mean, hey, shout out to everybody who I've gotten to interact with over the last 3 years. You know who you are, and you are always in my heart, and so there's that. But I also want to give you your flowers, sir, because 54 episodes, you have come such a long way. And like I said, I listened to our podcast before, coming today, and just the growth that you have from, those first interview episodes to now, like, you are a completely different host, and it's so great to watch you do that, and like, see all the things that you've gone through, and you're sharing and you're spreading that knowledge and experience with other people. Like that in itself is selfless, because not a lot of people are that open. And so to give you your flowers, like, you're doing amazing. Thank you. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you. Like as I've shared on this show quite a bit, like I'll be honest, like it hasn't taken off or blown up as much as I would have wanted, but I've learned that just documenting the journey of like, if I can, when I'm 30 years old and I can look back and I know exactly what I was doing, like at different snapshots in time along my journey, like that's something that I have like forever now. Yeah. And like sharing these conversations, like I feel like I get to grow as a person, like every time I have a conversation with a guest. So it's more than I could have asked for. And it's like, I've taken little breaks here and there, like, 2-3 months off at a time, but getting back in the chair feels great.
That's good. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so rapid fire. What's the most requested thing from athletes? Like tape, ice, massage gun. Like, what do you think it is?
Food.
Snacks.
Well,
you are the
all
snack.
The I am the snack. I'm the snack queen.
What's the go-to snack these days?
Ooh, for me has been any type of flavored almonds recently.
I was about to say
the cinnamon sugar almonds from Trader Joe's. I think I went through like 4 bags of those.
Don't put me in a Trader Joe's.
No, see those, and then we had other ones. The chili lime pistachios.
Ooh,
when I tell you, I brought those thinking no one would want to eat those, so I had them on my desk. I came in one day, and I think there was 6 athletes just around my desk, handfuls of them, and I'm like, can you at least ask next time a little bit? But no, I think that's the most requested thing is what snacks did I bring for the day?
I remember at Holy Names, like I would turn around, I'd see Austin Carter just horking down the gummies in the back. Shout out Austin. Like or any guy like Travis, you go in there and just be munching on stuff. Like those guys would just be
food is safe. No food is safe.
They'll find it.
They'll find it. I had a separate drawer that like no one else knew that I had food in. Somehow, some way, I had these like Canadian candies that I had gotten brought to me by an athlete.
Oh no.
I went in one day, gone. I was so mad. I was like, who even knew that these were in here? And all of them were like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Just playing dumb.
Yeah, come on. But yes.
So transition away from food. What is your favorite recovery tool that you personally swear by?
The Compex. I love the Compex. I think it does wonders. It has so many different uses. It is expensive, so it's not, if your school has one, use it. But
can you describe what exactly that is?
It's basically just like this. It's kind of like a TENS unit. But it does like a bunch of different modes. My favorite mode is probably the muscle relaxation mode. And so basically what you do is like, you hook your pads up, and it pumps your muscle so that it's increasing blood flow to the area, because we all know that blood is good. Increases blood flow to the area, but you're not feeling tired even though it's contracting the muscle. And so it's actually a sense of you feel a little bit more recovered and refreshed after using it. And so that was always my go-to, especially being on the road, when honestly you're just tired from back-to-back games and flight, practice, game, travel, practice, like it's exactly. Once you start the trip, you don't know what day it is until you're done. So I would use a Compact on just about everybody.
We got 3 more for you. So being one of your athletes, one of your fun things that you do is asking a question of the day. Yes. What do you think was the one that got like the most funny responses? Like, what was the best one that you had from this last year, if you can remember one?
I think the best one was, what Olympic sport do you think you could go and dominate in that's not your own sport?
What were some of the answers you were getting from that? All over the place?
I think we got some swimming. And it was like from people I would never think would swim.
It's a lot harder than people probably think.
No, that curling, because
like lifting.
No, like curling, like the winter sport with the ice.
Oh,
like and I was like,
there's a lot of Olympic sports that I wouldn't think about.
Like, but I was like, who even thinks of curling? Yeah. Like, and why do you think you would dominate in that? Because that's actually got a lot of technique to it. Mm-hmm. That a lot of non like sprint sports would say like track. Mm-hmm. What else did we get? I think someone said gymnastics, and I was like, "There's no way."
So much harder than you think about.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So that was probably like the most like debated because it like kickstarted a bunch of like smack talking.
No, you couldn't do that.
No, like I'd beat you and stuff like that. So that was like a whole day of like just smack talk. So that was probably my favorite one.
Okay, 2 more. If you weren't an athletic trainer, what would you be doing instead?
I've actually thought about this a lot. I think I would either be an ER nurse, or a pediatric nurse. So still healthcare field, still helping people out. ER keeps the blood pumping, exciting things to see. Peds, I used to, teach gymnastics. I love kids. So, as hard as, the sad ones would be, but, you still have good memories. So
1 word to summarize this past year.
Gratitude. Always.
Mine would be growth.
Love that.
I think the person that walked in the door for my junior year and the person walking out, like so much different. And even I think every single day we have an opportunity to grow, and oftentimes we grow through gratitude too. Yes. And I think those words kind of go well together. That's a good one. Gratitude always.
Yes.
Do you have final thought for the anyone listening out there before we close?
Embrace the suck and keep it moving. That's about it.
Well, Katie, thank you so much
for
sharing.
Thank you.
That will bring this episode to a close. If you're listening right now, please remember to subscribe, follow, like, and share. Most importantly, sharing a podcast is the #1 way to grow. So please share this to a family or friend that you think it might help impact. Katie, I appreciate your time making the drive here from SF. It means a lot to me that, we're still connected and we're still talking, and look forward to seeing where you land and seeing what's going on with your future. To follow Katie, her information will be in the episode notes below. So make sure to check that, and follow at True to Life Podcast, me personally at Nanik Tagore, and I'm going to continue to bring episodes and content to whoever's out there listening.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's a wrap.